Have you ever seen a problem so clearly that you just had to do something about it? Well, today, we're looking at a company that was born from exactly that feeling. This isn't a story that started in a boardroom. It started with direct, lived experience. We're talking about Zenith Zoe Limited, an organization built from the ground up to solve the very problems its founder saw firsthand in her own community.
And this quote from the founder and CEO Ruth Mumbi-Maturi really just says it all, doesn't it? It perfectly captures that journey from a simple desire to help the people around her into this huge professional mission. It really sets the stage for a company with a serious sense of purpose.
So here's the key takeaway. Zenith Zoe isn't just another business. Nope. It's the answer to a set of really deep questions about things like inequality and access. It's all about taking those personal observations and transforming them into a structured, professional way to make a real change. All right, so let's rewind and start at the very beginning with the personal experiences that really sparked this whole vision in the first place. You have to understand, these weren't just abstract ideas or statistics on a page. The founder actually grew up seeing this stuff. She saw fellow students falling behind because they had no academic support. She saw whole communities where getting quality healthcare was basically impossible, and families who were struggling to afford even the most basic nutritious food. It became so clear that the real villains here were these gaps in knowledge and just plain unequal access to resources. So you see all these problems, but how do you actually translate those personal observations into a company that can tackle them on a bigger, systemic level? That question right there leads us straight to the core challenge Zenith Zoe was designed to solve. The company basically asked one fundamental question. What's the one thing that connects all of these different problems? What's the common thread? And this is the answer. They identified this massive gap, a huge divide between what experts know, in academia, in medicine, and science, and the practical solutions that people can actually get their hands on and use in their daily lives. Zenith Zoe was created specifically to be the bridge across that divide. And here's how that gap breaks down into three very real interconnected areas. First, you've got a serious lack of access to quality research support. Second, there's just not enough modern healthcare equipment and reliable information to go around. And third, people have poor access to affordable, healthy food. You can totally see how one of these problems just flows right into the next, right?
Okay, so to tackle these big challenges, the company developed a super clear three-part strategy. They call them their three pillars. Let's dive into how this actually builds a complete solution.
Yep, it's all built on these three core pillars. This structure is absolutely key to how they manage to turn all that expertise into real-world impact. And it all begins with the first pillar, which is all about knowledge. Research and development, this is the foundation, and it's all about tackling those academic and information gaps head-on. And listen, we're not just talking about theory here. They provide real hands-on support for everything, from managing a student's entire dissertation from start to finish to conducting really complex public health studies and even doing fact-checking for investigative journalism. They are literally building up knowledge and skills from the ground up.
Now, the second pillar tackles the tool problem. You can't have great science or great medicine if you don't have the right equipment, right? This is where healthcare technology comes in.
This slide really shows you the practical side of their work. They supply the actual tools of discovery and healing. We're talking digital X-ray machines for hospitals, high-resolution microscopes for school labs. They are literally equipping the next generation of scientists and doctors. It's fantastic.
All right, and the third pillar is where everything comes together in the form of tangible products. Through manufacturing and supplies, all that research finally meets reality. They're turning raw materials into goods that directly improve people's wellness.
And the range of products they have is pretty impressive. They're not just talking about nutrition, they're actually producing it. We're talking everything from probiotic yogurt made with lab-grade cultures to pure organic honey and even high-quality animal feeds. They are closing the loop from the lab all the way to the dinner table.
So we've seen what they do, but what is it that makes their approach so effective? Let's break down what really sets them apart from the pack.
Okay, here are the keys to their success. First, they integrate everything. Research, technology, and practical application are all blended together, not stuck in separate boxes. Second, they offer end-to-end delivery. They see projects through from the very first idea to the final result. Third, ethics are totally non-negotiable. And finally, they apply global standards in a way that's actually relevant and helpful to local communities.
This quote just drives that point home. It makes it so clear that their principles aren't just for a poster on the wall, they're the actual operating system for the entire company.
And here are those values. You see words like integrity and excellence, which you'd probably expect, but then you also see compassion and impact-driven. And those two connect directly back to that origin story, that desire to solve real human problems.
So does this whole vision-driven approach actually work in the real world? Let's take a look at the tangible results.
Well, the numbers kind of speak for themselves, don't they? Over 50 research projects completed, a 100% client satisfaction rate, and 24/7 support. They've proven their model isn't just idealistic, it's also incredibly effective and super reliable. This right here is the proof of their impact.
And what's so cool is how they serve, well, basically everyone. On one side, you have their B2B excellence, where they're partnering with big institutions like universities and hospitals. But on the other side, they have B2C empowerment, giving direct support to individual students and selling wellness products right to consumers. They're bridging gaps at every single level of society.
You know, the story of Zenith Zoe is just so inspiring because it shows how one person's experience can genuinely lead to systemic change. And it leaves us all with a final question to think about. What gaps do we see around us, in our own communities? And how can we use our own knowledge to start building a few bridges ourselves?